I'm so glad to have this opportunity of sharing with you my memories of the 50th anniversary of the Anglican province of Melanesia. I'm Father Brian, Canon of St Barnabas Cathedral, and my full name is Brian Macdonald-Milne. I spent many years in Melanesia, serving as a priest. Bishop George Augustus Selwyn arrived in New Zealand in 1842 after a long voyage from England. In 1841 he had been chosen by the Church of England and officially appointed by Queen Victoria as the first Bishop of New Zealand, and he was consecrated as a bishop by the Archbishop of Canterbury. His letters of appointment included all the islands in the area to the north of New Zealand, although none were actually named. In New Zealand itself, some of the Maori people had been converted to Christianity by the work of missionaries of the Church Missionary Society from England, so they formed the basis of the Anglican community. But increasing numbers of white settlers from the United Kingdom had also arrived by then. The diocese therefore was multiracial from its beginning, and Bishop Selwyn also had a plan for the evangelism of the islands to the north. This plan included the foundation in 1849 of a special Christian mission within the diocese called the Melanesian Mission. He had already founded St John's College for training clergy and others, but for the Melanesian Mission he established a special school called St Andrew's Kohimarama in Mission Bay near Auckland. He also raised money in England to buy a ship, which he named the Southern Cross. And on a visit to England in 1855, he invited a young priest called John Coleridge Patterson to come out to take charge of the mission. He himself made various voyages in a small ship to islands in Melanesia to bring back boys to train at the school, in the hope that they would become Christians and be missionaries to their own people. In 1857, he persuaded the English authorities to allow him to set up a separate province of the Church, with the right to establish dioceses and elect bishops, and have its own general synod to govern it. And this was to be called the Church of the Province of New Zealand. This was a new development in the British Empire, although the Anglicans in the United States of America had established the self-governing Episcopal Church there after the American Revolution. These developments meant that in 1861 it was possible to establish the missionary diocese of Melanesia, and for John Coleridge Patterson to be chosen as its first bishop. In 1866, Bishop Patterson moved the Melanesian school and the headquarters of both the mission and the new diocese to Norfolk Island, north of New Zealand, which had a better climate for Melanesians. The new diocese included New Caledonia, the New Hebrides, the Solomon Islands, and the eastern part of the island of New Guinea, a vast area. The southeastern part of New Guinea, called Papua, became the separate Diocese of New Guinea in 1898. And after the Second World War, the rest of eastern New Guinea became part of that diocese, which changed its name to the Diocese of Papua New Guinea. With the ministry of both white and Melanesian missionaries, the Diocese of Melanesia extended its work, and alongside the ministry of other churches, the area gradually became largely Christian. When Bishop Alfred Thomas Hill became Bishop of Melanesia in 1954, it was eventually decided that the time had come for Melanesians to be consecrated as assistant bishops for the diocese. They were consecrated in 1963, and Bishop Leonard Alufurai looked after the Archdeaconry of Maleta, and Bishop Dudley Tutti looked after the Isabel area. In 1967, Bishop John Wallace Chisholm, Assistant Bishop of New Guinea, was chosen as the next Bishop of Melanesia, and he appointed me as acting warden of St. Peter's Theological College, where I had already been sub-warden for 4 years. We held a conference there for rural deans and senior clergy, which Bishop Dudley Tutti attended. I spoke at it about the idea which Bishop John Mannering Stewart had for a province of the Anglican Church in the Pacific Islands. He was Bishop of Melanesia from 1919 to 1928. I suggested that perhaps the time had come at last for a province of some kind to be set up, especially for Melanesia. I believe that Bishop Dudley probably discussed this with Bishop Chisholm, as I heard that he was now considering the idea. He proposed it to the New Zealand General Synod, which accepted it. We therefore began to plan the details. It was agreed that there would be, at first, 4 dioceses: Maleta, Isabel, Central Melanesia, covering the rest of the Solomons, and the New Hebrides. There would be voting for the new diocesan bishops in all these areas except Central Melanesia, as the Bishop of Melanesia would become its bishop and also the first archbishop of the province. There would also be 2 assistant bishops in different parts of the large diocese of Central Melanesia, but in the end only one was consecrated, Father Caspar Uka from Tikopia, as Father Lonsdale Usumai from Makira was not well enough to be consecrated. Bishops Alufurai and Tutti were elected bishops for their future dioceses, and Archdeacon Derek Rawcliffe from England was elected as the Bishop of the New Hebrides. The clergy and laity were excited to learn that they would soon have dioceses for their own areas, with their diocesan synods, and so be able to make decisions regarding these areas of the province. And they could also have their own cathedrals and other institutions. New dioceses were gradually set up later for different areas of the Solomon Islands and Vanuatu. Vanuatu became a republic of that name when the New Hebrides became independent in 1980, and the Diocese of the New Hebrides then changed its name to the Diocese of Vanuatu. The actual inauguration of the province could not take place until a constitution, like the 1857 Constitution of the Province of New Zealand, could be agreed. Bishop Chisholm appointed me as the chairman of a constitution committee composed wholly of Melanesian clergy and laity. He sent me a draft of such a constitution in fairly simple English, not using legal technical words, as the 1857 Constitution had done. Apparently, this constitution for Melanesia had been drawn up by the Chancellor of the Diocese, Justice Rob Smillie, a New Zealand judge. The Chancellor of the Diocese of Melanesia acted as the judge and legal advisor for the diocese. The bishop asked for comments from all over the diocese, but most of them came from the New Hebrides. Bishop Chisholm also asked for one article to be added to the draft, "There shall be a council of bishops," without, however, specifying what its functions were to be. That was sorted out later as part of the canons or rules of the province, adopted by the new provincial synod after it was established. The church lawyers in New Zealand said the constitution was good and simple and recommended it to the New Zealand General Synod, which accepted it, as did, I believe, the Anglican Consultative Council, thus enabling the new province to be set up and also join other self-governing provinces of the Anglican Communion, which were steadily increasing in number. The inauguration service took place in St Barnabas Cathedral in Honiara, capital of the Solomon Islands, on January the 26th, 1975. This cathedral would now serve as the provincial cathedral, as well as the cathedral of the Diocese of Central Melanesia. All the diocesan bishops of the province were to have their own seats in the chancel of the cathedral, and the New Zealand Church sent a special seat for the Archbishop, carved by Maori craftsmen. The Archbishop also had the former seat of the Bishop of Melanesia to use as his seat as Bishop of Central Melanesia. Thousands of people attended the inauguration service, and there were special guests from New Zealand, the Church of England, the Diocese of Papua New Guinea, the Diocese of Polynesia, and Christian churches in the Solomon Islands belonging to the Solomon Islands Christian Association, including the Roman Catholics. Representatives of the Solomon Islands government were also there. The Solomon Islands itself gained independence from the United Kingdom in 1978, retaining the British monarch as head of state. And Justice Smellie and I took our parts in the service. Celebration followed for some days, each new diocese having an opportunity to have a special Eucharist and to demonstrate some of the traditional customs from its area, following on the service. These usually included some traditional singing, music, and dancing. Malaita even had traditional music to accompany parts of the Eucharist which it led, and afterwards demonstrated traditional ways in Lao district of arranging marriage with the use of traditional shell money. There was also South Malaitan drumming. It was a joyful week for all. The Lord had truly blessed his people in Melanesia.